used with our food giants. They no longer use polystyrene clamps anymore. They are using paper now. Of course, paper is just as toxic with the dioxins and everything in there, but styrene is more toxic. That's the reason why they took it out. So when they took it out, they said, hey, what are we going to do? You know, styrene, what are we going to do with styrene? We got a lot of styrene. You know, just like fluoride in your toothpaste. We put it in the toothpaste for everybody. You know? We'll talk about that. Yeah, keep going. So with this styrene, they says, give it to the janitors. They wouldn't know. They wouldn't know what we give them. But toxicologists like us will fight them. You can't do that. First of all, that's very toxic. Second, it will not stay on the floor because it's not made to stay on the floor. It was just a byproduct that they put molasses or whatever. You may as well put molasses on there. It's not as toxic, right? So that. And plus, I say, styrene is going to change color on you. So if you have a white floor or a color floor, it would be, the color would be ruined because you will have a horrible color on there after a little while. But why would we use that? Oh, no, don't worry. And plus, we have to strip it like crazy. I said, aha. But he says, hey, we're in business, you know. We're in business. We need to strip so we can sell more. Ooh, that really got me. I said, no, because I was the one that was stripping big garbage styrene, you know. So when you are making decision for your schools today, you know, I hope that there were other schools here, and if not, tell them, tell your buddies that were not here about styrene, and they can also understand and at least protect themselves and protect the people that are in the facilities. Okay. The color change of styrene, or if you are buying a material, you say, hey, I'm your buddy, man, here, buy some floor finish for me, man. Okay, I'm going to pour that out. How many get samples? How many get samples? You get a lot of samples. Please, after today, do not take samples. Because I remember having my children, I have 3 kids. Some guys never learn. So when the kid is sick, you go to the doctor and you get a prescription. So you go to the drugstore, get the prescription, bring it out, and as I'm walking home, I look at the next door cat and I say, why don't I test it on him? It doesn't happen. You bring that in, you give it to your child, and they get better. Why? Because of that trust. You should not have samples in your office. Some of the sample, if you look carefully, has their labels are falling out. Also, some of them have no good lids, so that the lids are cracking or whatever it is. And somehow you're breathing it, you got that sick building syndrome in your office. So be careful with samples. Don't bring samples. If the floor needs to be tested, or chemical needs to be tested, you are not the one that's going to be testing it. You say, hey, this product should work, or don't come and test it in my facilities. Okay, so that is going to have to be a commitment. And of course, another point about sample is, what do you do with sample if you didn't test it? Most of them, you didn't test it anyways. Says, let's give it to my mother-in-law. I didn't like her, but she has something that she wants to wash. She's a clean freak. Let her use that. And then she'll phone you and say, hey, what did you give me? Oh, my hands are breaking out and I'm coughing, and, you know, don't do that. Stay away from samples. Don't bring any samples in. The samples that you they need to test is in their own labs. Okay? Now, what you can do right now, though, when you go back, you can look at the third dimension and the two-dimension and three-dimension cleaner. That you can see. And see if it is electrolytic. That's in the specs for a lot of schools that we're going to be talking about. You will see the pictures on here. Some of the 300 schools, districts that are on is the electrolytic cleaning products. So there is no caustic, there is no monophenol in there, no butyl in there. All those are now taken away. Now you can also test the floor finish by putting the floor finish in a little cup and just stay it by the window, and you will be able to see the color change. If it goes brown, don't put it down. Okay? Remember that? If it goes brown on you, don't put it down because it is styrene.
What kind of finish are you talking about, John? Did you put in a cup and it'll turn brown? Floor finish?
Floor finishes. Okay? Or they call it wax. All right? So, any questions?
How long a period of time before that floor finish will brown out or will discolor?
Very quick. If not, when you pour it out, it's already look like coffee. Already look like coffee and milk. You know, you probably are familiar with that. You know, oh, your floor finish is going brown, especially around where the windows and things that is going nice and brown. You know, and that is polystyrene that is not supposed to be on the floor. That's being pushed onto us as stripper and janitorial people.
If I remember correctly, you said that the styrene is added to those finishes of binding.
Styrene is a polymer or a binding agent that changes color and everything else. It is not for floor finish. You can use styrene in many other things, in building boats and things like that, to polymerize it and make boats with it. That's a different chemistry. But to dissolve it in the water, putting plasticizers in there and laying it on the floor and having to strip that is a problem. So any questions? If there's no questions, I'm going to bring Steve up here, and Steve will be able to discuss with you how the new technology with electrolytic, styrene-free products can be used in our school, and you are going to be able to afford it. Whatever you are using, it'll be cheaper than what you have. So, Steve, without too much, I'll get Steve over. Thank you.
I had the opportunity to spend some time with Ed the past couple of nights, and he begged me, he said, please, please don't say yo use guys. Great. Okay. I'm from the South Philadelphia, and I'll try not to lay too much of that on you. I'm going to just finish up on a couple points with what John discussed with you. I'm going to start with the styrene. What is it? What are we looking for? What kind of problems are there? I have just some things that Ed will be able to supply you with, some EPA documents. It's probably the best kept secret in our industry as far as floor manufacturers go. Styrene is a bonding agent, and when you put all this chemistry together, if you don't have a bonding agent, you put the finish on the floor, it'll separate in a big fish eyes. So one of the very few things they've ever found to chemically pull it together is styrene. And in the mixing process of floor finish, they sort of put it in chalk form and mix it up and it bonds. So, and then they, of course, put it in the bucket. EPA says, and Ed will be able to supply anybody in this room with these documents, okay? So these aren't his, my, or anybody's word. This is the EPA. Talks about styrene and in particular the manufacturing. It is now classified as a Group C human carcinogen, pretty much the same as asbestos. And goes on with these documents to say some things that I think everyone in this room, being in the position that you're in, should know about. I highly recommend, if you have these documents, and you should, that they don't get out to the PTA because every one of you will be cleaning your schools with hot water.